right.
I thought the old intro got me going, boys, but that one really got me going. I mean, my belt popped off. It's kind of weird.
Welcome to another episode of Gary Williams Stole My Lawn Furniture on this dark and gloomy Monday morning for Ravens fans. Not so much for our next door neighbor Commanders fans, which we'll have one on here in a few minutes to talk about that a little bit. But yeah, guys, bringing it in here today. We got the new background. We got the new intro. We might even have a couple other things on the horizon. So trying to keep it light and fluffy here today since we're all a little bit down, I know. So but yeah, don't even want to talk about it. It's stupid. I hate football. Same. We're definitely going to get into that. Also want to start off the show as well by giving a shout out to the Chaucer and the Pig and Rooster as always, for helping us out and sponsoring the show. And Brian, I think you had some special guests over there at the Chaucer this weekend from a group message I received.
Yeah. So another shout out kind of before we even get going down the dark and gloomy dark hole. We're going to go through around Mr. Rocco from the Ryan Ripken show, and it was awesome seeing him. Awesome having some good laughs. I'm not going to say what he did, his nefarious son of a gun. But he broke his dry January screw. I'm just going to sell you out right now, Rob. But it was great seeing him, and thank you to the Ryan Ripken guys, the entire cast and crew over there. They do a great job, and thanks for some pub yesterday. So I'm going to be the minister of positivity today, which is actually very odd for me. So I'm going to build up Dusty because we're going to try to put a muzzle on him today. But really, shout out to Rocco and all the guys at the Ryan Ripken show. You guys are awesome. We love collaborating with you and look forward to doing some stuff in the future.
Yeah, so let's get right into it here. First, I guess, give me your first reaction. We got some people in the chat here giving some of their thoughts and opinions. I think we all have similar stuff. But Dusty, how'd your day go? What all did you do yesterday? Where'd you watch the game? How was the vibe at I'm pretty sure I know what establishment you were at. So.
Honestly, I went out a couple nights ago, and yesterday I was very, very hungover all day, which kind of helped me all day because I thought usually I'm a bundle of nerves before playoff games, but I was so focused on just wanting to die because I was so hungover.
Okay.
So I didn't really have time to be nervous for the game, but I got to the Bull on the Beach around 5. The game kicked off at 6. And I immediately just had this like terrible feeling, and I was just like, it just feels like the Chiefs game last year all over again. Like I feel way too confident. I feel like we're the best team. We should go and we should win. And then, I mean, obviously you guys saw how the game went, but the vibes were awesome at Bull on the Beach. It was busy as shit. Which now that I'm getting older, I resent it more and more each year when there's just more and more people in the bars. I used to love it when I was younger, but now I despise it. But yeah, I don't know. I'm really upset, and I don't really know what to say. You guys go ahead. Brian, you're the good vibes guy today. You're going to need to take the load.
That's no problem. I'm going to have some Buffalo Wild Wings here shortly. But what I'll say to your point, Dusty, is obviously we're all disappointed in the result of the game. But that's a shame for the week goes along exactly what Dusty kind of harped on, being that we're both in the bar industry. I think people need to take a breath and step back and take inventory of themselves from time to time. Look, it's a fucking game, guys. All right. And when I say guys, I mean everyone in general. Like, chill the F out.
Yeah.
There are people like getting in fights because the Ravens lost, like physical altercations because the Ravens lost. Stop it. Stop the mess. Like, It's just a freaking game.
And gambling has made it worse because now people have not only their pride on the line, but they have their money on the line.
And their mortgage on the line.
Yeah, and you know how many Ravens fans put way too much money on that game, and it sucks.
It's just I want everyone to take inventory. Just calm the F down. It sucks. I get it. There's one team that's happy at the end of the season. That's it. Yeah. Part of being a fan is learning loss. mean, hell, we're all baseball guys. 3 out of 10 is awesome. So, I mean, just calm down. But in all honesty, in my first reaction to the game is this: we shouldn't have had to come down to that 2-point conversion. It shouldn't have had to come to that.
It never should. It never ever should in any game, really. But
I texted my friends when the play of the game for me, and we turned the ball over 3 times. So I mean, obviously those are all costly things. The play of the game for me, and I hate to be the guy who complains about the refs. The play of the game was we stopped them on 3rd down in the middle of the field to force them to punt, but they throw a deep ball to Keon Coleman, who literally grabs our corner and throws him to the ground.
Mm-hmm.
And we get the PI call. It keeps their drive alive. It allows them to go up by 10 plus points going into halftime, and it completely changed the game. That was the absolute. As soon as that happened, I was like, this is happening again. Here we go.
It's that play. I mean, you're not wrong at all, Dusty. I mean, it's that play or the Andrews fumble, the punch out. Those are the 2 plays that really changed the altered the game completely.
Yeah, Lamar fumbled too. I mean, both of the fumbles were bad. The pick was bad, but we stopped them. We got a 3-and-out after the pick, so it didn't matter. Mm-hmm. So yeah, pick, that's the worst pass that he's thrown all year. Brooks, what do you got?
Yeah, my opinion is the game-changing play. Like, obviously, both of those were at the time. My opinion is if Lamar doesn't fumble that ball and they end up scoring 7 points, we were rolling. I mean, that's essentially a 14-point swing. We should have been up by 2 scores, so we should have had some breathing room at that point. Even if that pass interference comes up afterwards, even if Mark Andrews fumbles that ball, it's just that and them going down and scoring, that's a 14-point swing because we were going to – I mean, we were rolling. Yeah. So it's just – and it's – I said it – we said it before. It was a classic. I don't feel like we got beat in that game. We beat ourselves again, which is the story of the last freaking 5 years, it feels like.
I'm going to say the Lamar era, and that's not throwing it on Lamar. It's just
yeah. And you're right.
It's just always a dud. I mean, we could have like the most spectacular like regular season ever, and then we throw a dud at some point in the playoff, whether it be the championship, division, wildcard, whatever it is. We just throw up a dud. And the thing that I think hurts most is like this actually felt like the year, this year and last year, really. But I felt even better about this year because we've had some trials at the beginning of the year, and we have overcome them. And it's like, all right, we've been through all the bad and overcame it. So like, there's nothing that should surprise us now. Like we should know that we're going to get past it. And it's just, it's us beating themselves. It's not the Bills beating us. And the other thing is like, we have never been as healthy as we have been like this year and last year. That's always been our issue going into the playoffs. And I know Zay was out, and that makes a little bit of a difference, but not in that game. Essentially, with the weather the way it was, we should have just kept running it down their throat. But it's just another year of Lamar's prime that we should have taken advantage of that we didn't. That's what hurts.
All right, so before anyone comments, hear me out on this one. I think the field played a factor. The actual playing surface played a factor. I understand that both teams play on the same field, but Josh Allen is a power runner. He's a plow horse, where Lamar is a show pony. He's agile. He's got to move around and stuff like that. That field was rock hard. It was a sheet of ice. So
every time they got tackled, they were like sliding.
Through. They were sliding off the field. I remember seeing a couple tackles like that. You're right, Brooks. Thanks for bringing that up. So Josh Allen being a heavier running quarterback, that played to their advantage. Now, I understand we have Derrick Henry, and we'll get into that, I'm sure, about how many running attempts he had, how many rushing attempts he had. But with Lamar needing to kind of, zig and zag for his runs, I really think it played into Buffalo's hands.
Yeah, and another thing is that's why I don't think Zay would have been like that huge of a factor. It would have helped our offense to open up a little bit more. But him playing, I don't think would have been a huge factor.
At the end of the day, though, and look, we'll get into the Derrick Henry only getting however many carries or whatever. At the end of the day, the offense moved the ball well. It's not the offensive game plan that was the problem. It's the three turnovers. It's the three turnovers. The fact that we turned the ball over 3 times and 2 of them were pretty egregiously bad. I mean, those like normally teams are out of it right away, especially when you're playing Buffalo. Like we were still in that game the whole time after making those very costly penalties, which tells me I think we were the better team. And it's just like the second year in a row. It's the second year in a row where I left the game thinking, God, we were the better team. How the fuck did we lose that game?
Definitely the best. And I was talking to my wife this morning. I was talking to Caitlin this morning, and I'm like, because obviously she was putting Banks to bed last night towards the end of the game. And I'm like, honestly, we were the better, like, Buffalo didn't do anything spectacular. They just didn't make any mistakes. I mean, that's really what happened.
And it hurts to say this, but kudos to Buffalo for taking advantage of the shit that we left on the field.
And honestly, they didn't take advantage of every mistake we made. It's just they didn't. They did on the Lamar fumble, but everything else, they just didn't make mistakes. They played the field position game. They played smart. They didn't turn the ball over.
They Chiefs us. They did the same thing the Chiefs did last year, which is they came out and they got our players pissed off early. They came out chippy, and Ed Oliver and the offensive line were fighting right away. And it's the same thing that the Chiefs did to us last year, and it got us off our game. And we got our game back in the second half, but it didn't matter. It was too late.
Yeah, not only that, they actually had a pretty good game plan the first half in terms of stopping. They just said, we're just going to go all out, stop the run, and get them off their game and try to do what the Chiefs did to us last year. And they kind of did. But I mean, we figured it out after a little bit. But I mean, kudos to them because I mean, they just did. They just said we're gonna play mistake-free football and let them, and hopefully they'll make a couple mistakes, which we did, which we're known for in the playoffs. And they just, I mean, that's how they won.
You guys tell me if I'm wrong on this one, and I'll take no offense to it whatsoever. I feel like the Broncos from the 2012 Ravens Super Bowl season, where there was a turnover and a deep pass past some defensive back who realized he couldn't let Jacoby Jones behind him. Like I just obviously there are different plays in what went on yesterday, but I feel like the Broncos were a better team that year, and we happened to beat them. And this year I thought we were better than the Bills, and they beat us, and we gotta eat it.
We do. I mean, there's nothing we can do about it. Joe. The Lamar fumble, yes, it was a high snap, but I mean, the fumble came. Yeah, the fumble came after that. He was trying to switch hands to make something happen. I saw his press conference. He said I couldn't throw the ball away. I was just trying to make something happen because it wasn't an RPO. It was just like it was a run option play.
No.
He said it was a. He said it was an
RPO. God.
He said it was an RPO, but he couldn't throw the ball because the offensive lineman was too far down the field. It would have been a penalty. So he was trying to make something happen after that. He said it was an option play, but it wasn't something where he could throw the ball at that point.
You guys have seen, I'm sure you guys have seen this a number of times in the NFL. They run a run pass option or some sort of play where it could be a run play. So the offensive line doesn't necessarily know who's got the ball behind them. They just have to block it like it's a run play. And if the pass is open, like a screen or a slant real quick is open, they just take it. Lamar fumbles the snap, so he can't throw the ball right away. And the run is busted because the snap is bad. So he can't throw the ball down the field to a receiver because even if he makes even if he completes the pass, it's a penalty and we go back 5 yards. So he's just like, all right, I'm trying to hold on to the ball and I'm trying to do shit, and I just dropped it. And honestly, I loved Lamar's press conference after the game. I thought he said everything that he should have said. Like he's just like, I'm just so sick of this bullshit. He was like, I knew they were in man. I should have never thrown that ball. Like he admitted his mistakes first and foremost because they asked him about the Andrews thing. And he immediately took responsibility on himself. He said, well, I turned the ball over. Like, I can't be dropping the ball like that. It's just fucking stupid. Yeah. So I love that he took responsibility. I think it shows leadership out of him. I don't think he had a 100%. Terrible game. I mean, it's the same thing I said last year with the Chiefs. No. I don't think he played bad. He had 2 really stupid plays. But other than that, in the second half, he was flawless. It's just, there's nothing you can't overcome. Playing a good team on the road in those conditions, you can't overcome 3 turnovers. It's so fucking frustrating. I'm sorry. I'm bringing the mood down again. But.
Yeah. And we'll talk a little bit more about this, but we got somebody backstage that wants to talk about his team. We'll get he roots for the Ravens as well. So we'll get his viewpoint on this as well. Let's bring in the doctor, Dr. Foy.
Gentlemen,
What's up,
Good.
buddy?
What up,
What's
baby?
up, buddy?
How you doing,
how
man?
you doing?
We're all
Repping a
miserable.
little pig and rooster action. New hoodie.
The old hog and cock,
Rotation.
baby.
Oh no. How's that?
Love
I love it. You're loving the life in Burgundy today, huh?
Yeah, I mean, Dell. I guess Dell was a seer when he was putting together his
Yeah.
merchandise for pig.
His color
Good year
scheme.
to go burgundy, maroon, whatever you want to call it. But yeah, it was weekend was crazy with football. Tons of good games. Obviously, the Washington football team, Commanders, Redskins, whatever the hell we want to call them, had a great day. But I enjoyed watching the Ravens yesterday. I pretty much agreed with I think all of your points. I don't think they played poorly or anyone blew it. It was just they made a couple turnovers, a couple mistakes, and the Bills didn't. And I think I saw a stat that, every playoff game so far this year, whoever wins the turnover battle has won. So it's like you turn the ball over once or twice, let alone 3 times, and the other team doesn't.
Yeah,
Pretty much
that's 95% of football games, really.
Yeah.
Guess
And I
how
know
many times the
everyone's
Ravens punted yesterday?
Did they punt at all? I don't even remember. Yeah,
Big
zippy.
fat bagel. Not one punt.
Yeah. Did the Bills punt too?
Yeah, they punted 3 times.
Yeah, they punted a couple
Yeah.
times.
Yeah, obviously the turnovers just kill it, and obviously everyone's going to kill Andrews. The fumble was bad. Obviously, dropping that 2-point conversion is a killer. If you catch the 2-point conversion, there's plenty of time for the Bills to get in field goal range. So if they come down and kick a field goal, it's the same result. Nobody cares.
Yeah.
But that having that played kind of obviously sticks out in your mind like shit. It was right there. Both 2-point tries. The other one, I think they had likely open in the ball. I think got tipped at the line. Game of inches, if that ball's 6 inches or 2 inches one way or the other, it probably doesn't get tipped and and they convert. So it just is what it is.
Yeah.
Not ideal.
You see Andrews on the sideline after the fumble for 5 minutes, and the camera's just on him the whole time.
Yeah.
And it's just how many times have we seen this in sports? You make the terrible play, and then they give you the chance, and you redeem yourself. And we wanted him to redeem himself. It's the coaches were like, we believe in you. Please go out and show it. And they gave him the ball. And I've also seen a ton of people online this morning saying, you have Derrick Henry run the fucking ball. It's just guys, it wasn't the play calling that was the problem. It was a great play call. It was executed perfectly, except the guy didn't catch the ball. And it's happened before. But it's just if you think we lost the game because we didn't give the ball to Derrick Henry on the 2-point conversion, you're an idiot. That's not why. We schemed a great offensive game plan, and it just didn't work out for us.
I'm more pissed off that they didn't give him the ball. We have that big play to Bateman, takes us down to the 2 or the 1 yard line, and just give him the ball 3 or 4 times. And honestly, I wouldn't have been opposed to giving it to him on that first 2-point conversion. Regardless, right? He hits that 2-point conversion if it's not tipped. If the throw is a little bit higher, whatever you want to call it. And honestly, Tylan Wallace was open. I'm looking at everybody was open on that play. It felt like it's just
they sold out
Foy
for the run.
said. Yeah, like Foy said, it's a game of inches. It sucks. I was texting you guys last night. This feels like the Lee Evans drop, Billy Cundiff missed field goal game. That's how it hurt last night. Just because same as that game. That we all think and know that team was better than the Super Bowl team. And it's man, that was the chance. That was it. But yeah. We'll come back to the Ravens, but Foy, how about them Durs, huh?
Saturday was pretty awesome. I didn't think I could love Jaden Daniels anymore, and then I keep finding more love in my heart for him.
I said this to a bunch of my friends this weekend before the Ravens game started. I was like, I think there's a clear top 4 quarterbacks in the league between Mahomes, Burrow, Allen, and Lamar. And I was like, after that, it kind of drops off a little bit. And I was like, I think that 5th guy is probably Daniels, and he's a rookie. Already, I just feel. Sorry, excuse me. Every time he has an opportunity, I just feel like he's going to he's going to get the fourth down conversion. He's going to take them down the field when they need a drive at the end of the game. It's just I don't feel that strongly about any of the other quarterbacks in the league. I mean, as a rookie, I can't believe I'm saying it, but I mean, he's just been one of the most electrifying players in the league all year, and we saw it on Saturday even more.
Yeah, he's been incredible. Like at the end of the day, they're not like they're pretty under talented compared to the other rosters. Like their offense is pretty much. I mean, McLaurin's awesome. It's pretty much Jaden and him, and then he's just he's elevated everyone. But yeah, he's been a beast. I mean, before the Lions game, they had won 5 straight games on the last possession of the game, last play of the game, like which is not sustainable. I mean, you're one tip pass away from those losing one of those games and everything being different. But yeah, he's just been incredible. He kind of needs to be too. Their defense created a bunch of turnovers. Goff was terrible on Saturday, but you can't rely on that. Like their defense mostly is bad. They're not going to stop Saquon. He's going to run all over them. They're going to have to probably score 35 points to beat the Eagles, but it's been awesome. I mean, they've last 2 weeks, they've played 2 teams that have been hot and just outscored them. I mean, it was wild.
Who would have thought 45 points? I mean, it's a banged up Detroit roster, but their secondary was relatively healthy, and they still put up 40. I mean, some of that was defense, but
it was crazy. I couldn't really believe what I was watching. I figured it was going to be a shootout, and they weren't going to stop Detroit. So I thought, you might need to score pretty much on every possession, and then they made a couple stops, and then Goff threw up on himself a couple times, which was nice. Ben Johnson called a couple trick plays that probably weren't necessary. David Montgomery's good. Every play where they gave the ball to David Montgomery was a gift to the Commanders because Gibbs was the best player on the field and they couldn't stop him.
He didn't look like he was ready to play yesterday. He didn't look like he was healthy enough to be playing out there.
Right.
And he definitely wasn't 100%.
Jaden Daniels played like a veteran. I'm sorry. I mean, I guess after this many games, you're really at this point. You're no longer.
He has all year. I mean, which is crazy.
He played.
Well,
like
he played like 100 games in college. That's why.
That helps. Yeah. You're right. I mean, they blitzed Penix. Yeah. I mean, they've played 2 defenses in the playoffs that are crazy blitz heavy because they're not. They've got a ton of injuries. The Bucs defense isn't great either, and Bowles blitzes like a madman, and his numbers against the blitz are like insane. So I think I saw a stat on Saturday. He didn't have 1 negative play on every blitz down. So it was just he's been awesome. I mean, it's kind of a wild ride. Like I can't believe. I mean, the last time they were in an NFC Championship, I was 3. Like it's just wild.
And what was the record last year? 3-4
and 13 last year. And I keep thanking Greg Zuerlein because in week 16 of last year, they should have beat the Jets. And I was furious because I knew it was going to knock them out of the top 3. And Greg Zuerlein drilled like a 56-yarder for the Jets. Thank you, Greg. The leg, baby. Greg. The leg. It's just changed my life pretty much. I mean, Drake May's cool. I wouldn't be upset if they had Drake May if that's what it ended up with, but they,
True. Yeah.
Who was the guy who was drafted before Michael Jordan when Jordan went 2? I can't remember.
Sam Bowie.
That's what it feels like. Thank God the Bears took Caleb Williams. It's just, it's been awesome.
This must have been your dissertation in order for you to get the doctor.
Yes, correct.
Greg Zuerlein missing.
That's what got the PhD. My research and development on clutch kicks from Greg Zuerlein. But yeah, it's been awesome. I mean, Philly's going to be like. I mean, you go into Detroit, win in Detroit. Like, where can't you win? But going into Philly is going to be a tall task. But
the weather's going to make a huge difference too.
Who had a worse loss, the Ravens or the Lions?
I think the Ravens because the Lions have an excuse for being so freaking banged up.
I don't know. The Lions. I mean, they're both bad. I don't know. I think the Bills are better than the Commanders. Sorry, Sean. But
yeah, no, I agree. And the thing that's tough with the Lions is like you're probably losing one, if not both, of your coordinators. Like you're gonna have all that talent back, but like it's gonna be different. I mean, Ben Johnson's getting crushed because
we saw that
didn't call a great game, but I mean he's a stud play designer. Like losing him is not going to be good.
2 years ago when the Eagles went to the Super Bowl, the year after they lost both Steichen and Gannon to head coaching jobs, and they couldn't get their shit figured out, and they lost in the first round of the playoffs. Like it's going to be a problem for the Lions, and they have so much talent there, and the roster was so good. If Hutchinson didn't get hurt, the season's completely different for them.
Totally.
He's just straight up one of the best defensive players in the league. So losing him hurts like crazy. But yeah, I mean, I think it's a pretty bad loss for the Lions. They also just didn't play great. Like the Ravens didn't play great because they turned it over. Goff had his worst game of the year, and we're talking about a guy who had a game earlier this year where he threw 5 picks in the first half. But in the second half of that game, he was excellent, and they came back and they won the game. So at least like there was a light at the end of the tunnel in that game. Yeah, in the game on Saturday, he looked terrible. And speaking of terrible, Tom Brady was not very good. The Jamison Williams trick play touchdown, he's just like, well, it's a simple concept, really. It's like, no, it's not. I've never seen somebody try to run a counter and then flip the ball backwards to a receiver and then him house it 61 yards and then up the end zone. I've never seen that in my life.
And he jogged the last 25 yards because he was already past everyone.
He's so bad.
Luckily I was upstairs at Chaucer. Shout out Rogers.
Go baby.
No, I didn't. They had the audio going, but when there's that many people there and it's that loud, you can't really hear Brady. So I saw Twitter roasting him, but
was he is he like the worst thing I've ever heard? No, but there's something there that just doesn't feel like it's just not it. I don't know.
He doesn't get out clear and concise because you probably have like a 8 to 15 second window to get your point across or the play across that happened previously, and it just seems like he's too elongated on that stuff.
Yeah,
and he's obviously got good insight. Like the guy reads, probably know. There are times where he breaks down a play and you're like, all right, like that makes sense. Like that's something I never thought of. Like he does a good job about that. But you're right. When you only have a small window of time to say something and be, efficient with your words and not mumble, he's not good at that. He also doesn't have this, and it's not his fault. I don't love his voice. Like he doesn't have he doesn't have maybe we're just used to Aikman because he's been doing it forever, but Aikman and Joe Buck just sound big time football. Brady just doesn't. Maybe he's just new, and 2 years, 2 to 3 years from now, we'll be used to it if he's even still doing it. But
I'm going to be the king of what you like. Would you rather listen to Tom Brady or Dave Johnson?
Brady all day.
Brady all day.
Yeah, I would.
I cannot listen to Dave.
Johnson was calling again.
I'd listen to Steve Johnson, but
I love Steve. I mean,
Steve
don't
Johnson,
get me wrong.
St. Paul's.
Yeah, it's not
St. Paul's and Cruisies. Go Cruisies.
But yeah, it's Saturday was awesome. It was still surreal yesterday. I watched the Ravens game at Pig, and they keep showing the graphic of the times and who's playing next week, and just seeing the Durs up there is just wild.
It's got to feel surreal for you.
I'm pumped. Now, I mean, I would have loved the Rams to win yesterday. I'd rather go to LA. I think they're more beatable. I mean, Philly's beatable, but they're loaded with talent, and if it's 10 degrees and snowing, that would suck. But I don't think it's supposed to snow. I saw the weather today. It's supposed to be cold, but I mean, it's late January. It's gonna be cold everywhere on the East Coast.
Yeah, what's the weather there today, guys?
I saw here. It's fine. I mean, it snowed yesterday, but it's it's cold. It's probably in the 20s.
Cold, but it's fine in Ocean City.
Are you guys about to get what's coming through here today and tomorrow?
I don't think so. I think it's just
at the current moment, it's 6 degrees here and the high of 11. And
it's going to be freezing here the next few days, but I don't think we're supposed to get any accumulation, but it's going to be 10 degrees.
Yeah, it's 6 degrees. 6 degrees at the moment, high of 11. Tomorrow, it's a high of 8. This is when I think we've talked about this before. 1 week out of every winter here in Indiana, we just get a freaking stupid cold snap for a week, and then it passes by. Then you have regular winter as always.
Yeah. It's going to be 2 days in Ocean City. Tuesday and Wednesday, the high is 23 and 22. So,
speaking of the winter,
it's going to be like that here.
Speaking of the winter of the Ravens season, Dusty, I want to ask you a question about how was the bar scene yesterday? Because I know Sean, Dr. Floyd, Doctor and I can talk about how busy it was in the Baltimore bars. How was your city bars?
2 straight days, fucking madhouses everywhere you go. Saturday,
really?
me and my buddy, me and my buddy met up for beers and we hopped around a little bit. And we went to a couple different bars uptown Ocean City. Every single one we went in there was jamming. And then last night I got to bowl on the beach. There was like no cars in the parking lot. I was like, God, I hope there's no one in here. You know, I'm like hungover. I don't want to be in a really loud, crowded bar. And I walk in and it's like nuts to butts in there. I was like, God damn it, it's so busy. But it was crowded as shit. It's good. It's great for the businesses. Once again, I'm just, you know, I was a hungover, drowsy old man, and I don't like being in busy places. But
I mean, you want to see a toilet flush of a bar? Watch the Ravens lose in a playoff game. It's like someone hit the handle and everyone just leaves.
Dude.
And here's what I also hate. This is why I said that's a shame. Is people, it's a fucking game.
Yeah.
The people that stayed after the game were just angry assholes, and
they just
wanted to get
drunk and
and they've already been boozing with happiness from the game when they still had hope. And then they get absolutely angry, and they're just all schlep rocks, and they got rain over their heads.
I will say there's something positive about yesterday. I did watch the game with my buddy Jake, who I always watch with a bull on the beach. And when Bateman scored that touchdown on the opening drive, it was like when when Scooby gets scared and he jumps into Shaggy's arms real quick. That's what it looked like in the bar yesterday. My buddy Jake jumped in my arms.
There's a reference.
Oh yeah. Saturday at Chaucer, I was with Hill, her mom, Amanda,
and the doctor.
Dell and Holly met us, and multiple doctors, a lot of doctors in that building. But there was like a table of Washington fans next to me. I don't know any of them, but like we definitely did. There were multiple instances of me and another dude who I don't know hugging and jumping up and down, doing that bit. So a lot of hugging and rejoicing with strangers. But
And if there's anyone else on a heater like Dusty is betting wise, it is our friend Amanda.
Oh yeah, she hit a big touchdown parlay on McLaurin's touchdown. It was not quite four figures, but high three. And it was funny. She looked at me like that drive, and she goes, "Hey, I've got like a $250 buyout for this touchdown parlay. The last leg's McLaurin. Like, I definitely need to not do this, right?" And I was like, "He's gonna score, like 100%." And then literally like 60 seconds later, he's running down the field and just screaming. Not to do the I hit this bit because no one cares, but there was a special.
But I'm gonna do it anyway. So
yes, correct.
No, I like it. I like to hear everyone's bet. I want to hear people win.
FanDuel had a special. It was McLaurin 25 plus yards receiving and a touchdown for like plus 210. I'm like, I should have liquidated my 401k. It was a lot. He's their only weapon, and of course he hit it in one play. But yeah, I probably put $40 on it. I should have put 1,000. But yeah, it was good times. It was that's what is awesome about like having your team somewhat relevant too. Is like being at the bars and just like. I love when the Ravens are good because the bars are awesome. Like I remember being at Chaucer for the AFC Championship last year, and obviously the result of the game sucked. But I remember Lamar throwing like a ridiculous touchdown to Zay to tie the game in the first quarter, and I thought the bar was going to collapse. Like everyone was just going nuts, and it was awesome. So like,
and then the shots start rolling.
So just like having a smaller version of that Saturday night with a bunch of Skins fans, and then Pig yesterday was packed for the Ravens and awesome atmosphere when they were scoring and going back and forth. So it's awesome. I mean, I wish they would have, won another one and kept it going, but it is so much fun.
So I had like updates on my phone for, the financials of the business. And when Likely caught that touchdown, I watched the number go up by $1,800 in about 10 minutes. Because people were ripping bombs.
That's a lot of car bombs.
A lot of car bombs.
That's awesome.
Whoa.
Do you guys have any thoughts? We haven't talked at all about Chiefs Texans. Do you guys have any thoughts on that game at all? Do you want to even talk about it, or you just want to talk about Ravens and Commies?
Chiefs kind of did what they always do. It's not pretty. It's close. Get a couple calls that go their way. Travis Kelce shows up and is big in a playoff game, which I feel like has been happening for 20 years. Like they haven't looked like the best team in football probably ever this year, but they just always figure it out. It's pretty wild. But I am happy they won because I don't have a dog in the race on the AFC side, but I wanted whoever won yesterday to be playing the Chiefs. Like I have no interest in watching the Ravens or the Bills stomp out the Texans in the AFC Championship. Like, I'd rather it be a good game.
Yeah.
And the Chiefs will definitely be, Chiefs-Bills should be a good one.
It felt like the Bills kind of Chiefsed us yesterday. They just kind of plotted. They didn't make the mistakes. Like, Josh Allen threw for 120 yards, and he had like 20 yards rushing on 10 carries. Like, we held their offense in check really well as a defense, but they just did not make mistakes, and they took advantage of the mistakes that we made, which is exactly why the Chiefs are in the AFC Championship every year, because they do exactly that, even when they're bad. Like, we saw their offense couldn't move the ball for a good portion of the season, but they still won 15 games. And now Travis Kelce, who's been in the garage all season, is out ready to fucking roll. He's revving up the ponies. And now he's got 7 for 117 and a touchdown, and he's just wide open in the end zone, and he's staring over the dudes laying in the end zone.
They remind me of some of those like veteran NBA teams that just like coast for like December to May and then just turn it on. But
they're like Tim Duncan, dude. Fuck, they're so boring to watch.
Like, obviously, like we had an historic offense. We outgained them by 140 more yards. Lamar had 114 passer rating, 250 plus passing yards, and you lose. And the only way you can do that is by turning the ball over. Like, and they know that it's not groundbreaking information when somebody, like, obviously we saw Lamar and everybody else talk afterwards. Like, they know. Just like, man, you guys got to figure out a way to hold on to the freaking ball
security.
Man.
Ball security in the playoffs has got to be the thing. And it like the last 6 games we've lost. I saw somebody post this. The last 6 games we've lost in the playoffs, our turnover margin is like minus 14 or something like that. It's ridiculous. Like, guys, god damn it. But yeah, Chiefs Texans. I know there was a lot. I didn't watch the game nearly as closely because I was out at the bars, but I did watch the game a bit. I saw a lot of internet discourse that the refs handed the Chiefs the game. Joe Radke says it. I saw some highlights. What do we have a take on this, or do we just think this is people complaining because the Chiefs won again?
There was a trash call on a roughing the passer. It was god awful. And I'm not a conspiracy theorist. All right. I'm not saying the refs or the NFL want the Chiefs to go to the damn Super Bowl because the Super Bowl sells itself. But it was a trash roughing the passer call. And then there was a call that wasn't made when Mahomes tried to basically bait the refs into giving a late hit out of bounds. And they didn't call it. So, I mean, it went hand in hand. But there was some bullshit.
And the helmet to helmet where the two Texans players hit each other and didn't hit Mahomes in the helmet. And on top of that, he slid late as
crazy
shit.
late.
Yeah. Thanks for bringing that up. I forgot about that one.
And Troy and Joe were actually like, I know you didn't listen to the game, Dustin, but like Troy and Joe were like, what the hell are we doing? That is like the worst call I've ever seen. Like they were audibly like talking about how pissed off they were about it.
I love that about Aikman and Buck because they just don't give a fuck because they know that they're so secure in their jobs. They at some point in the last couple of years they flipped a switch where like they see bad football, they just immediately call it out. Bad referees, they immediately call it out. Like I saw on Twitter like Aikman was saying when Mahomes was flopping on the sideline. Aikman was on. I saw like on Twitter the clip. Aikman was just like, "What the fuck, man? Like you're the best player in the league. Don't do that shit."
Even like Pereira was, I think he was the in-game ref. And I think Sterator said something on Twitter and they were agreeing with Joe and Troy too. They're like, yeah, that shouldn't be like something's got to change. And that roughing the passer shouldn't have been called and blah, blah, blah.
It should be something they can pick up. Like, because I remember seeing that.
So they have the ear, like they have the thing where they can
they have the sky judge.
Like if a call is wrong, they can radio down and be like, hey, that was wrong, change the call. Why can't they do it for stuff like this? And why can't they do it for stuff like in the Ravens game? It bothers me.
They choose not to sometimes. And it's so confusing.
I know.
Like the first replay of that roughing the passer where he thought he got hit in the head. I remember they showed the angle from like behind him, which is where the ref was who threw the flag. And it kind of looks like from that angle, he gets hit in the head. All you have to do is see the other angle and you see that he didn't. He hit him in the shoulder. So like it would make sense if they can call down to them and be like, hey,
didn't hit
the
him
other angle shows he did not hit him in the head. Pick it up. But they just like pick and choose where to use like that replay. And Yeah, I also
and I'm sure they
love that
don't want it
Aikman-
on every play, right? I'm sure the
Right.
refs will get pissed off. Like you can't correct every single thing. There has to be
Right.
a little bit of a human element, but like those are major things.
right.
And
15-yard personal fouls is different than like
And my other
it's a turnover, and also you have the sky judge who can just literally get into the head referee's ear. There's no time. You don't need to walk over to a TV monitor or anything bullshit like that.
exactly.
It's a quick, easy instant. Do it. Why not? And
Yeah,
like,
no,
you got something.
the other
in the Rams too. The Rams had a catch for third down that they called incomplete. It was clearly a catch. You had to look at one replay, and McVay had to waste a challenge. He shouldn't even have to challenge. He should have said, "Wait, replay assistance." It took 2 seconds to see that he caught the ball. Like,
we've seen them do it sometimes this year, but they just, like I said before, they just pick and choose. I know you guys don't watch a lot of NBA, and I watch more than you do, but if you watch the last 2 minutes of any close NBA game, the refs are going to the monitors. The refs are going to the monitors like 50 times in the last 2 minutes. It drives me insane. I hate it because it slows the game down so much, and it sucks. But there's got to be some sort of in between where why is the NBA taking this so seriously, and the NFL it doesn't seem like they care at all.
Yeah.
I just some sort of.
I do like your point about Aikman just laying into people. Like, I love that he's just been like, I'm a stud at this point. I'm untouchable. I'm gonna say whatever I want. I mean, he lit the Cowboys' job on fire last week and just
I
couldn't believe it. But it was, I mean, good for him.
These guys are making enough money now; they don't give a shit. So, like, even Al Michaels, when the first year of Amazon he was just like, these games are. He basically was saying these games are terrible, but with nicer words.
Yeah,
because he's like, fuck it, I'm making $17 million a year. What the fuck do I care? And I got a contract that's guaranteed.
And it's like, I mean, it's a great job by Prime or whoever, Amazon Prime and whoever like the overarching network is to go say, hey, go say whatever you want. Like the fans obviously love it when you do that. So just go do it.
Yeah.
I like Joe
and give them the reassurance.
Yeah. Flop was Sacramento King 2000 style flop. Was that Vlade Divac?
Oh yeah, probably.
I think it was like Chris Webber, Mike
Peja
Bibby, Peja Stojakovic.
Yeah.
What a team.
The other thing I wish. Ooh,
wow.
Turkaloo. What a name.
He played for the Magic
too.
Turkaloo?
Yeah.
Yeah. He played with Jameer Nelson and Dwight Howard on the Magic too when they went to the finals.
Yeah. Another thing I wish that
things I didn't expect to hear today, by the way.
Yeah, right.
Turkaloo, Jameer Nelson.
Never thought I'd hear Turkaloo again in my life.
Jameer Nelson's kid is playing college basketball. I never felt so old in my life saying that. Jameer Nelson Jr. I couldn't believe
I'll do a full biography on Theo Ratliff if you want later, but I mean, I don't have enough time.
More of a Tabo Cephalosha guy myself. I don't know. What else do you guys want to talk about from the weekend? We already talked about. We hit on the refs.
I know we're talking about the refs still. Another thing I kind of wish, like a rule change for the off season. I kind of wish that they would let coaches like don't increase the challenges or anything like that because it slows the game down, but let them challenge any play on the field. Just about any play on the field. I think they should expand the plays that they're allowed to challenge. Or at least say what? Yeah, I think so. Or at least be like, hey, I'll throw a challenge flag for just, I want you to go take another look at that and tell me if you think your call was correct. Like, I don't think like it's hard to say on like judgment calls like that, whether you think that, but I mean, if you can have them go take another look and be like, all right, yeah, I made the wrong call there. I don't think there's, I just think they should expand. I think they should expand the plays that can be challenged in my opinion, but
even if it's just like personal fouls, like you call a face mask, but if it's clear he didn't grab his face mask.
Yes. No, for example, that's one you can't challenge, which is frustrating. So pass interference is tough, right? Everyone's going to have a different opinion. So that's one that would be tough to do. But like you said, something like that is not judgment. That's pretty night and day.
Hey, hello, what up, baby? How you doing?
Yeah.
Sure
what? No, that's for British Raven. Laura's from the Ryan Ripken show. So happy to have you over here, Laura. I think it's the first time you've been over here. So
what up?
But yeah, it's
I saw Portnoy was ranting on this because he did a show last night after the games with Gruden. And I was listening to it a bit, and he was like, I don't understand how they don't have full-time employed refs And he was like, I read about it. He was like, I'm angry when I'm reading stuff because he's just whatever. But it's really funny because he's just a funny dude, I think.
Well, McAfee's been on McAfee's been on this for like 3 years now, going off about this.
The only reason that they have given is because it costs them too much money. It's like you guys are pulling in hundreds of millions of dollars on your investments every single year. Like, put some guys in boot camp and let them fucking do this and get these old ass idiots out of here. I'm sick of it, dude. I'm so sick of it.
And honestly, like the Gene Sterators and Pereiras who are up in the booth, like it'd be nice to have. They're never going to go back because they're not going to get paid what they're getting paid now.
Yeah,
but it'd be nice to have them
not be referees.
But I think Sterator is on the board. They're probably all on the board or whatever, or like the review board. But it'd be nice to have them like in a box somewhere to like radio down and say like, hey, that's not correct. Maybe you should take another look or whatever.
Do you think because sports gambling is expanding so quickly, do you think that they're really going to start feeling pressure, the NFL, I mean, to look at these kind of things, or do you think that they? What do we think about that?
Without doubt, I mean, you have to. I mean, and it takes them digging a hole in a Vegas desert, someone in a box. They'll do it because there's too much money on the line now to legalize gambling.
Yeah.
Sean, sorry I cut you off. What were you about to say?
No, no, it's bringing up like Sterator and Dean Blandino. It is still my favorite bit ever when there's a challenge and they go to their in-house ref on the broadcast. He's like, "Oh yeah, this is definitely getting overturned," and then whatever the result is the complete opposite of what he says. It's so great. I can't think of one off the top of my head, but it happens all the time.
I think it's a bad look.
It's totally a bad look, but it makes me laugh.
There was one guy who did I think Mike Pereira was the first one to really do this, be that in-house referee.
Yeah.
And then they had another guy on, I forget his name, and he got 12 calls wrong in a row. And he wasn't on air anymore.
Yeah, and they took him off. I can't remember who it was.
Was it Anderson?
It wasn't Juan Anderson.
Yeah.
Who the fuck it was.
It's also pretty funny when they show the color guy and the play-by-play guy standing in the booth, and then whoever the ref is in the back corner, like they're trying to hide him.
He's like he's in a porta potty or something. Just randomly in the corner. Like, what the hell is this guy doing?
Yeah,
I think
it's like Stat Boy.
It's even better. Like I know we were talking about Aikman and Joe Buck kind of saying whatever they want. Now it's even better when one of those guys comes in and they say what they think it's going to be, and Aikman or Joe's like, I'm not seeing what you're seeing. I don't know what you're talking about. they just completely disagree with them.
I love that. Yeah.
That's how I love Jay Billis. He's a dookie, but I think he's hilarious, and I think he's really good. And he just hammers refs. He's like, that's not a foul, or refs get super fired up to call a charge in a big moment and just run down the floor as they're making the call. And he just lights into him. He's like, that's a block. That's not even close to a charge. I love when these dudes just hammer refs. Just don't care.
Sean, thank you for bringing this up because here's your right turn from the left-hand lane segment. Jay Billis earned my respect when he called out the NCAA. One, he called Mark Emmert a figurehead and had no time to do anything and no power whatsoever. And he goes, the reason I know this is they're making money off of Jadeveon Clowney because Jay Billis himself went online and put in the search bar the Freak jersey, and it popped up Jadeveon Clowney's South Carolina jersey. He's like, you're making money off this kid. He's not getting paid.
Yeah, I remember that. That was awesome.
The Freak? That's Javon Curse, dude. That's not Jadeveon Clowney.
Well, I guess it was called the Freak in South Carolina for a period of time. I mean, I remember Javon Curse being called the Freak in the NFL.
Yeah. Remember the Outback Bowl hit when Jadeveon Clowney lit up whoever the running back for
Michigan and he just scooped that thing up. Yeah.
A guy's helmet literally popped off. And that's the play previous to that guy were going really deep. The play previous to that, Steve Spurrier was still the coach of South Carolina. They did the chains. They brought the chains out, and the ball was legit short. And they gave Michigan the first down. Yeah. And then the next play, Jadeveon Clowney literally decleats a dude and hits his head off his body.
In one solid motion, he killed the guy, scooped and scored in one way, in one go.
Committed murder on a football field.
God, I love Spurrier.
Spurrier had some of the best lines. He used to shit on Tennessee all the time when he was the Florida coach. He'd be like, he said something like, you can't spell citrus without UT. Citrus bowl.
Yeah.
And he
One
ate
year
Auburn.
for the Redskins,
There
he
was a
just
spot-
let off. He just let off his his like end of the year press conference. He goes, "Well, 5-11, not very good."
One time there was a fire at Auburn.
ridiculous.
There was a fire at the Auburn Library, and he goes, "Man, a lot of coloring books burned in that fire."
Jesus, man.
Jesus Christ,
I love that. You could never say that now.
no.
No way.
He was notorious for like canceling practices for the Redskins whenever it rained, or like he
Like
would
go
like
golfing.
he would cancel walkthroughs and go golf, like just not invested at all. But was getting paid insane money and knew he was going to go back to college when the NFL gig fell through. It was just so
He was just
entertaining.
like he's like these players aren't good enough. We're not gonna. This ain't gonna make a difference if we
Yeah.
practice or not.
This is why I love this podcast. We talked about Steve Spurrier, Theo Ratliff, and Hito Turkoglu, and it has nothing to do with anything with.
And it
Can't
all
contain the
made sense.
genius.
It all made sense.
This is like
So what do we think about the Commanders matchup next week against the Eagles, Sean? I think the best thing about the Eagles on defense, go ahead, before you go ahead, Brian.
Yeah,
The
I want to say something before Sean, and you get your question out before Sean gets to comment on it, because you guys
Cool.
definitely deserve this.
I-
My that was awesome was Dan Campbell.
mhm.
I mean, come on, dude.
Yeah.
That is a man who cares, one, about his team, two, about his love for football, and three, I'd run through a wall for that guy. I absolutely would run through a wall for that guy. If the Ravens played the Lions, if they're hearing Dan Campbell, I might have rooted for the Lions, honestly.
He's
But
Yeah.
I'm going to get that out.
I totally agree with you. I have nothing to add. Sorry. Go ahead.
Not only that, not only like the love for his team, like just the individual players, like you could just tell like how much he actually cares about each person in that locker room. And like not just because they play for him, like that he actually cares for them, like would do anything for them as a human being. So
Yeah.
And I think it's something we talk about, how we relate to people that are our friends and how much we care about people. It reminded me a lot of us. Like it was awesome. It was refreshing to see, as opposed to a guy who's just looking for a fucking paycheck.
You lose the human element a lot. And I think he does a really good job of like bringing that back into football. And I think,
very
I
genuine.
just think, you can see yourself in him a lot more than you can see yourself in a lot of the guys in the NFL.
Without
yeah,
doubt.
he's not as robotic. He's not, he wears his emotion on his sleeve, and it's kind of funny coming from him because I mean he's a brick shit house and he looks and he's a hard ass. Like you just don't expect that coming from him. So it's good to see, and I think it's good for the NFL, honestly.
Yeah, more guys like that equals better NFL for sure.
Definitely.
Yeah,
more guys like that in the world, really.
Yeah. So what I was gonna ask before I was rudely interrupted by our friend Brian here. How do you think they match up? Because you mentioned earlier in the podcast that the Commanders have faced two teams that are super blitz heavy. I think Philly is quite the opposite because they're so good at getting pressure with just their 4 down linemen that they don't really necessarily need to blitz, and that they're confident that those guys are going to be able to get there. What do you think is going to be the match? Do you think that's going to be a huge factor in the game? Do you think that's going to be tough to overcome for the Commanders offense?
Yeah, they don't match up great. I mean, you're right that they don't have to blitz a lot because their front 4 and front 7 is pretty nasty. That's probably going to be where the game's won and lost. I mean, the Washington's offensive line is fine. It's not great. And they lost Sam Cosmi is their best lineman. And he tore his ACL. So, their center's pretty good, Tyler Biotish, but him in a backup guard against Jalen Carter is probably not going to be a recipe for success. So I expect them to tunnel screen and bubble screen the shit out of them to try and slow some of their linemen down. But, I mean, they split in the regular season, but if I'm being honest, I mean, if Jalen Hurts wouldn't have got concussed, they would have put up 50 on them and they probably wouldn't have beat them the second time. So, but they did shred them defensively and their defense is awesome. So it's probably going to need to be a shootout. I feel similar to the Lions game in the sense that if you lined up rosters, the Eagles are probably better, almost everywhere, probably 90% of the spots, but it sounds so like cocky, but I think the best player on the field's probably wearing white in number 5, and if it's close, he'll have a shot. They're going to need to score like crazy because I don't see they haven't been able to stop the run at all against anyone, let alone Saquon. So that's going to be tough. But Philly's weird. Like the roster's loaded. They're good everywhere, and they just seem kind of off like every now and then. Like Hurts either doesn't play well or AJ Brown's bitching. He's reading a book on the sideline. Like I don't know if it's Sirianni or like they should just roll teams, but they just never do. But I think it'll be a good game. I mean, they're going to be the only team that's seen Jaden Daniels 3 times now, so that'll probably help them. He was not good against them in their first game. He was awesome in the second game. They turned the ball over 5 times and still beat them. It also helped that they were facing Kenny Pickett for 3/4 of that game. But yeah, I mean, I think I saw they're like 4-point dogs, 4 or 5-point dogs, which I think is legit. Like I get it. But while ride's still right, that wave is still rolling. So let's see if it can keep going. I'm excited. I mean, they're going to score. I'm just hoping they can get enough stops to stay ahead. Because if they falling behind is not ideal. So if they can kind of stay ahead or be close the whole game, and it's a toss up once you get to the fourth quarter.
Falling behind the Eagles specifically with their ability to run the ball and just their dominance in the trenches on both sides of the field, it's just such a bad matchup, especially if there's going to be weather, it's going to be cold. I mean, my favorite bet of the day yesterday was Saquon Barkley's longest rush over 20.5 yards. I was like, this should be like 40 yards. And he did it like 3 times in the game yesterday. It feels kind of like the Eagles are stagnant on offense a lot, and then they just get these home run plays. Do you guys feel that way too? Like, I don't know what it is, but it just feels like they're either 3 and out or they score like an 80-yard touchdown and that's it.
Yeah, I think that's kind of how Saquon's been his whole career too. I mean, he's obviously unbelievable, but he has a ton of like 1 yard, 2 yard, 2 yard, -4 yard, and then he busts off a 40-yarder. Like,
you mean Barry Sanders?
Yeah,
Derrick Henry does a lot of that too, honestly.
So does Derrick. Yeah, so does. I mean, I guess everyone does. No running back probably realistically averages 6 yards every carry. It's more like one massive carry, which kind of, buoys the numbers a bit. But
and no one's Jim Brown. I think, and Sean, I'm going to disagree with you. I think the best player on the field when you guys have the NFC Championship game is going to be Jalen Carter. He's a monster. He's just coming up.
Carter, the combination of those 2 guys on the inside is just outrageous. The fact that they were able to get those guys in back-to-back drafts, and still, ending up with Quinyon Mitchell, who, by the way, got hurt. What is his status? I know you're probably monitoring this closer, but he's a really
I don't
good
think
player.
I've seen. I think I saw today they weren't sure. I mean, he didn't come back.
No,
so
he missed the whole game.
I mean, that's a big one. I mean, obviously he's really good. So losing a top corner won't help. So. Yeah, we'll see. I mean, it's going to be a tough one going to Phillies. I mean, it's going to be a madhouse up there, but good problem to have.
Would you go to Philly wearing a jersey, Redskins jersey or a Commanders jersey?
I mean, I would. I mean, I wouldn't. I wouldn't be a dick about it. I'd be smart. But I'm not. I'm going to be sitting on the couch. But I wouldn't be like terrified to go. But I mean, I also know that if you do that, you probably taking your life in your hands a little bit and just don't be a douche. But I'd feel much better in some other stadiums than I would up there.
Yeah. You could be the nicest guy on earth, but you wearing that jersey could just antagonize the people of Philadelphia.
Pretty much.
Just by wearing that color. What do you have on the other game, the Chiefs-Bills game? We haven't talked about that matchup really at all because we're so sour about the Ravens losing. How do we think that game fares? Obviously, the game will be in Kansas City. I'm assuming it's going to be cold as shit in KC. It always is. How do we think that game's going to go? Do you think what are we looking for? Foyer or guess? So let's see. What do you think about that game?
I think it'll probably be similar to Chiefs Texans. I mean, I think the Bills are better than the Texans, so I could definitely see the Bills winning. But I think it'll probably be ugly at times and a defensive struggle, and then probably hopefully there's a couple possessions where they go back and forth and score, and it's a little bit of a shootout. But I feel like every Chiefs game is similar. They just kind of ugly it up, play good defense, don't make a ton of mistakes. I know the Bill. I mean, I would love it if it was like the game a couple years ago where they just went back and forth. I don't think either one of those offenses are like that anymore. They don't like sling it like they did 3 or 4 years ago. Tyreek Hill's not walking out of that locker room. But I think it'll probably be a boring, good game. But I think it'll be. I mean, it's 2 stud quarterbacks. It'd be interesting to see if Allen can get over the hump. But I mean, I'm excited to watch it. I mean, I'm hoping I'm not, in tears by the time they kick off at 6. But I'm hoping I'm having to tape the game to game plan for the Super Bowl 2 weeks later. But I'm excited to watch it.
Honestly, man, the rest of your season everything is after the playoffs and like the wild card. I feel like everything's a gift at this point for you guys. Like
Totally.
you should be so happy with no matter what happens.
Yeah.
If they've won 8 more games than last year, it looks like they have a good coach, good coordinators, a new owner, a great quarterback, a great young quarterback. And everything is just, it's just house money now, right?
Yeah.
Totally. It's like, I'm like torn in between. It is house money, but it's also like, I don't know if you're going to be back in the NFC Championship.
Yeah, we're here.
Yeah. Not to like bring up a
Never
sore subject. Like, Lamar's been the best player on the planet for like 6 years. He's been to 1. Like these are not easy to get to. So like you're there. Why not now? But at the same time, it's also like, how the hell are we in this? Like, it is kind of house money, but also you never know when you're going to be back.
With the Bills Chiefs, I can definitely see this being a little bit of a boring game. Like they're two teams that just aren't going to make mistakes. I think it's going to come down to whoever makes the mistakes. Honestly, a mistake or a couple mistakes.
I wonder what the line
and we'll
is.
see.
I haven't looked at the lines at all.
We'll see which way that'll go. I think Buffalo is +1 or +2 is what it was supposed to open up at, or it did open up at. But yeah, if I were to pick this game, I'm going Buffalo. I really am. I think it's their time. I really do.
Bills Manders is best case scenario at this point.
Yeah.
That would be awesome.
That's my heart.
Yeah.
That's what my heart
so
wants.
Eagles -5.5, and then Bills are +1.5. Chiefs -1.5. I think that makes sense.
I will say, like, I'm not a Ravens fan, so I didn't have my heart broken last night, but I would think the Bills are like, I think it's kind of hard to hate the Bills. Like, I know it's, you wanted to beat them, but like Josh Allen seems like an awesome dude. Mm-hmm. Like, I wouldn't mind. Everyone's rooting for them against the Chiefs. But I just feel like the Bills in general, it's not like you're playing, the Steelers or the Bengals who are a rival. Like, it's the Bills. They've never won. Like, awesome fan base. Allen seems like a good dude. Like, I'd like to see him at least get to the Super Bowl. And then we can have a reenactment of 1991, and it can Skins, Bills, Super Bowl.
Yeah.
I can't take another fucking Super Bowl of Taylor Swift.
I don't.
Why are you so mad at Taylor Swift?
I don't really care about that.
I love Swiftie. I love her music. Because I can't take it. They pump it up so damn much.
I just want to know why people get so angry.
They show her like 30 seconds total.
Yeah, show her walking in like she's dressed up. She's got some handler in the back.
She's the biggest star on the fucking planet. No shit. Like, why wouldn't they?
I think Haktua is, but we'll disagree.
She's in hiding.
We'll disagree to disagree.
I just for everybody I've talked to that has gone up to like Buffalo, they're apparently their fans are super welcoming and awesome.
I've been there twice.
I've been to do a lot of fundraising. They do a lot of fundraising for things that go on in whatever capacity they need to do fundraising for. If it's for a player, if it's for a cause.
Remember last time we lost to the Bills?
In the playoffs, they donated to Lamar's charity.
They donated like a bunch of money to Lamar's charity because
you remember when the Bengals beat the Ravens like 8 years ago to get the Bills into the playoffs on like a last second play, and they donated a ton of money to Andy Dalton's charity. Like, they're likable.
Yeah.
Speaking of Andy Dalton, I heard a stat the other day. Quarterbacks who have never won a playoff game. Guys who with the most regular season wins who have never won a playoff game. Number 1 was Y.A. Tittle. And number 2 was Andy Dalton. Did you know that?
I
forget that those Bengals teams were pretty good for 2 or 3 years with him.
This podcast is ridiculous. Peter Ratliff, Peter Turkolo, why hate Tittle?
Oh, dude, we start talking golf. We can start talking old Tom Morris. We can do weird stuff.
Old Tom Morris.
There's also a young Tom Morris. Did you know that? It's his son.
I hate you. It's his son. I got a question for you guys, and Dusty, I'm sending this one to you. It's something that you and I talked about when Brooksy was sick. and I'm glad we have Sean on here because I'm sure he knows some stuff about this. What is going on with this Fox Sports drama shit?
I don't really know if is it still going on? Is the Joy Taylor stuff? Is that what you're talking about?
Yeah.
Well, I mean, it's a lawsuit. It's going to be going on for a little while.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know a ton about it. I mean, maybe it's because of the legal stuff, but they're pretty much acting like nothing's going on. So it's not like any of them are saying anything about it. It's fun to speculate, and the articles are awesome. But I did see Skip Bayless tweet something over the weekend. I think this was real. He was like, I love Cliff Kingsbury, but like I could run an incredible offense with Jaden Daniels. So could my cat. And the legendary Stu Feiner responded and he was like, you couldn't even pull the makeup girl. You have no game. That made me laugh out loud. But
that is awesome.
Yeah, the Fox stuff is wild.
Yeah.
So I was reading those articles because Dusty, you asked me to read them before we did any commenting on it. Some of that stuff is just raunchy, weird,
crazy, dude.
It's weird.
The AB tweeted like somebody go find Jason Taylor. He's probably like AB is ridiculous, by the way.
His Twitter is must follow.
Yeah. So.
Dude, yeah, he is like he's
another level of off the rails.
He is the best at the Twitter. Yeah. He is the best at the Twitter. That's for sure.
All right. 20 days till pitchers and catchers. 20 days till pitchers and catchers. Do you guys want to talk about Tanner Scott to the Dodgers, Rookie Sasaki to the Dodgers, everyone to the Dodgers? Babe Ruth, I heard it's going there.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we might as well just bury ourselves since all that happened and then we lost. So
yeah. It's baseball season now. So what do we? I know it's not baseball season quite yet for you, Sean. What do you think about this Dodgers dynasty? And then Brian will let you chime in.
I mean, it's pretty wild. I feel like whenever we think there's like a massive dynasty, like it never like like these dream teams, they never like work out, at least in baseball, just because guys always get hurt. But I mean, if they're healthy, that rotation is insane. I mean, the NL West is still pretty sick, so I don't think they're going to win 115 games. Like that, it's a lot of things stars have to align to have that type of season, and you get to the playoffs, you never know what could happen. But it is kind of wild. I think the only thing that's annoying is that they have figured out the loophole of deferring money so that they can so that they can minimize the luxury tax, penalty. But I mean, they're not doing anything wrong.
They're just the only one willing to do it.
Yeah. I don't. The hate for the Dodgers is like, why wouldn't they do this? Like, what if they all want to come here? Why would we not welcome them with open arms? I don't get it. Like, it sucks as a baseball fan because I'm an Oriole fan. I want the Orioles to win the World Series. I've never seen it in my lifetime, and this feels like it's making it a lot harder for that to happen. But we don't have to play them every week. Thank God we're not in the NL.
Yeah,
it is what it is. Like, I'm not getting worked up over it. They're awesome.
Series, and they got to make it to the World Series, in which we all know is very hard to do, even with an all-star team, right? I mean, it's tough to do. You need a lot of stuff to go your way. You still got to roll the ball out there on the mound and play the game. Like there could be injuries, there could be locker room tension, there could be there's a whole lot of stuff that can go on. And we've seen it. Remember the dream team with Philly? They sucked.
They sucked.
Nnamdi Asomugha and Vince Young were on the same team.
There's just
Johnny Brown was on that team.
Yeah. Jay Ajayi.
Wow.
We're dropping names today, man. We're gonna hurt ourselves dropping.
But anyway, that's what I mean. There's just so much that can go on, especially in that long of a season, with injuries, with, like I said, locker room stuff, with just people slumping, whatever. And they could win 110 games this year and then fall flat on their face in the first round. You just never know. So luckily for us, they're not in the AL. We don't have to face them until possibly the World Series if we get there, if we get to the playoffs as well. Like there's a whole lot of ifs that go on here. So
it just, in a 7-game series, they're set up better than anybody. I mean, Glasnow would be their long reliever in a 7-game series.
Jesus Christ.
It's crazy. It is. I don't think it's bad for baseball because if you're the Dodgers, you have to do this, and you don't have any other option. Why would you not? I mean, half the city just burnt down, and still everyone wants to go there.
With the influx, yes. I mean,
and sorry, I didn't mean to say that like so abrasive. Obviously, it's a huge tragedy, but it's like I don't know.
Yeah.
With These West Coast teams are going to begin to have a leg up on the rest of Major League Baseball because of the influx of Asian talent and how the teams out west want to get these players for marketing rights because a lot of the Asian players want to stay on the West Coast of the lower 48.
Yeah.
So, I mean, look with the Dodgers. And then you're going to see the Giants probably capitalize on this shit. And how the Angels haven't already done it other than Ohtani is beyond me.
Yeah.
So, I mean, and here's the thing. We were talking about this in the group chat a little bit. Like, obviously, we're like, people get mad and like it just, you get frustrated when they spend all this money and they defer all this money and everyone's getting all upset about it. It's just like, you're just upset because your team's not doing it. Like, other teams are going to start doing this soon. It's a monkey see, monkey do league in all these sports. And I mean, newsflash, like if you're good and your team wins, you make more money. I'm looking at the MLB 2023 revenues. I think we were saying they've got upwards of like $1 billion in deferred money. They made over $500 million just in 2023. So in revenue. So them being good, they just make more. They could give a shit less about the deferred money. As long as they're good, they're going to make that money back pretty quickly.
And that's 2023. That's before they signed Shohei Ohtani and before they just won the World Series. So,
so they're probably upwards of 7 now.
Yeah. I mean, all of the money that they spent on Ohtani, they made back last year already. They probably made it on jersey sales on day one. It's the fastest selling jersey over 48 hours in the history of American sports. So,
yeah, they bought a business. They didn't buy a player, and now they're basically buying a whole country at this point, because they're all going to be. I mean, they have 3 top named Asian players that everyone's going to want to come follow, which brings people to the park, which brings people over into LA in general. It builds the town's revenue.
I think we said this on a podcast like during the baseball season that 80% of the Asian people that visited Los Angeles went to a Dodgers game. Yeah,
and great point by Joe here. Seattle did the same thing. They started it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Sorry, go ahead, Brian.
Yeah.
Oh, you're fine. I mean, that's the point. Is you're having tourism come into your town, so your business is popping. So
Joe says Arizona wins the NL West. Dodgers only won 85 games. Joe,
I'm sorry, buddy.
If that happens, I mean, that's a bold prediction, man.
Lay off the rebel, dude. Lay off the rebel.
Joe's off today.
All right.
It's Martin Luther King Day. We should give that a shout out.
Yeah. Okay, day, baby.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, do you guys have any other stuff you want to talk about, baseball wise, football wise, sports wise? The Terps beat Nebraska.
All right. Can we talk about the Terps' loss?
No, I don't want to.
Yeah, me neither.
West Virginia beat Iowa State.
Oh yeah.
But hey, I think there's a college national championship game tonight. If anyone was
there is a college national championship game tonight. Do you guys want to talk about that?
Yeah.
What's the line on it? Check the line on that, Doug.
I think it's 8.5.
8.5.
Ohio State minus 8.5 against.
I hope it's a good game.
Is that moving? Has that been moving?
It's been around 8.5 the entire time. At least I've seen. Dusty, you know more than I do.
I think I saw 9 at one point, but I don't think it went past that. So
I wonder if it'll move today. Like, I would imagine most people have not been paying attention to it at all the last 4 or 5 days because of the NFL.
Yeah.
But I hope it's a good game. I worry that maybe since Ohio State didn't play great in the previous game, that they might get back to steamrolling people. But I hope it's a good one. I mean, Notre Dame's kind of boring to watch, but they've got a good defense and they run. So I hope it's good. That's hashtag analysis. I hope it's good.
Hope it's good.
Analysis.
Yeah.
Also, Shane Gills's Under Armour commercial was pretty awesome.
Yeah,
great.
That was
so good.
Funny. Yeah.
So yeah, listen to Notre Dame. You did.
No, that was
no. My uncle did though.
Sweet.
If you guys haven't looked that up, go on Twitter and look that up. It's really good.
Speaking of college football, I read an article this morning about the ACC possibly talking about. Joe, you're obviously off today because you're drunk already. I can tell.
He's trying to, he's trying to get us all aroused over here. All hot and bothered.
So I saw the ACC is contemplating basically dissolving their championship game. and giving
Really?
their winner of the regular season in football a bye and allowing the second and third place teams to play in the championship game to give them an extra pop at possibly getting into the college playoff.
I don't
think
mean to
that's so
cut
dumb.
you off, but I just saw John Morosi just tweeted that Santander and the Blue Jays have an agreement pending the physical.
Oh no.
Damn.
Tony
Don't have any
Taters.
details, but I figured that would be important enough to jump in
That
on.
is
Yeah.
definitely important. Tony
Boy.
Taters to the Blue Jays.
I wanted to be the minister of positivity today, but you're just really bringing the fucking mood down, dude.
Just don't shoot the messenger.
Who Barosi said that?
John
Anthony
Morosi. Anthony
Santander, yeah,
Blue
it's
Jays
50,
are
it's 53
in
seconds
agreement
ago.
pending physical.
Wow.
Poop.
Well, good for Blue Jays fans because
Not
they've
surprised.
lost out on every free agent this
Well,
offseason.
now we can
Uh,
officially congratulate Preston Kerstead. Now it's
Yeah.
your time, buddy. Now's your time.
It is certainly Kerstad time.
Mhm.
Are you guys surprised it took so long? He's a switch hitter, hit 45 home runs. I can't believe it took so long for him to go, especially after we kind of lumped him in with Teoscar earlier in the offseason.
Yeah.
I'm really interested to see how long this is and what
Me
the number
too.
looks like.
Does-
But are we surprised that it took so long for Taters to sign somewhere?
I'm not surprised. I mean, shit gets stagnant during the holiday season. I know we're only 20 days past the new year or 20 days into the new year, but I see Big Town's commenting right now or texting us. But
Yeah.
but
Yeah, I
Yeah.
wonder if
I'm
obviously
not surprised
Soto
it
was
took
holding
this long.
everything up, but yeah, I'm not
It-
too terribly surprised.
and maybe the agent was dragging his feet, trying to get the best deal possible. I mean, what's it hurt to wait a little bit before you go to spring training? So
Yeah, I mean, I don't think it's a bad thing necessarily. I just thought that basically, I'm just saying I don't think that that there was nearly as much interest around the league as I thought there would be for Taters, and maybe it's just because everyone's worried about the glove. I mean, he makes the plays that he should, but his defensive metrics, if you look at his
Yeah, they're
fielding
bad.
metrics and stuff like that, it's not good. But it doesn't look that bad on the field. Yeah, it looks awkward, but he makes the routine plays. He just doesn't make the spectacular plays. You know what I mean? And the spectacular plays that he does make are routine plays for a lot of other players in the league because they're just more athletic. But
Yeah.
I mean, there's no doubt the guy can hit, and he's a switch hitter, and he's got pop. I mean, that's invaluable. You throw that in a lineup next to Vlad Jr. and Bo Bichette, you got something cooking there. But I don't know how
maybe
long Bo Bichette and Vlad Jr. are going to be in Toronto because they're both up after this year, I think.
maybe the age scared some people off.
What is he, 30?
Yeah,
But look,
I'm sure some
7
of
or
the
8 year
advanced
deal.
people don't love him because he doesn't walk and he strikes out a ton. But I mean, switch hitters that hit 40 home runs. I mean, granted, he's hit 40 home runs once. He's more of probably like a 30 home run guy. But guys with that power that aren't terrible in the field and can switch hit don't grow on trees. So
Yeah, let's be.
I'm very intrigued to see how much he signed
Be
for.
realistic here. He's not going to have the power numbers that he had last year. Again, I don't think.
Right.
That I just don't see it happening. He's still going to be a solid bat. I'm
Mhm.
curious to see what this is going to be.
Yeah.
And my question to you guys is: does this mean that Bregman's deal gets done here today or within the next couple of days now?
I would assume so.
Because I think last week we said we'd all be, well, at least I said, I shouldn't talk for you guys. I'd be surprised if it was another week or two, if it was more than a week or two before these two guys got signed. Now Santander's signed. Do we think Bregman falls today or in the next couple of days?
I mean,
probably
The teams
20
that were
days
looking at Santander are going to then jump at Bregman if they haven't already.
what do we think about Big Meat Pete? Do we think he's staying in New York?
Well, apparently New York gave him a timeline, and I don't know what that was.
Huh.
They basically said like that he's on a shot clock. He needs to make a decision, which is interesting. So that I don't know. I who needs a first baseman right now? We don't.
Well, I was going to say the
really.
Yankees, but they signed Goldie.
We would need one if we were trading Mountcastle for somebody, which we certainly could be for a starter.
Seattle needs bats.
Seattle needs all bats possible. But
Yeah.
I don't think the Seattle wants to spend money. I saw there's
That's why I mean, maybe is it more realistic that we sign Alonso and trade Mountcastle with a couple other guys to Seattle to get a pitcher. Like, I don't know. I'm just brainstorming with you guys right now.
You're just throwing shit against wall. Understood.
Yeah, it would be awesome, but I just don't. We'd take a hit defensively at first base, and also, I just don't know. Like I don't know we're gonna sign that much money for a free agent at a position, especially that we don't really need that much.
Mm-hmm.
They'll just end up putting Mayo. They'll put Mayo at first. They'll put Kerstead at first. Whoever it's gonna be. There's some options. O'Hearn, obviously. That should have been my first one.
Joe says Pete wants a 7 to 10 year deal, and the Mets offer him 3 years. So
I want to win the lottery.
How old is Alonso? I feel like he's been around forever.
30, 31, probably around there.
Yeah, probably around there. He's not that old. He was really good at Florida. He just turned 30 in December.
Okay.
So he's just a couple months younger than I am. But he was really good at Florida. I remember he was hitting tanks with metal bats at Florida, and I was like, this guy's going to be unbelievable. And he hit like 50 home runs his rookie year. So
can they put metal bats in the home run derby and get rid of the kids in the outfield and just watch these guys actually hit to a different city?
I mean, you say that, but I mean, you got to eliminate people in the fucking outfield bleachers.
Yeah. I mean, these guys smoke the ball. Vladdy Jr. hitting with a metal bat would be terrifying.
Like if they did a line drive over the fence, like I don't want to be sitting in those seats.
Sean, what do you got?
I don't know who this dude is, Ari Alexander. He's a sports reporter, I guess, in Houston, but he says it's a 5-year deal. But it doesn't have numbers.
So take it with a grain of salt, potentially.
MLB trade rumors reposted it, so they think it's legit.
Pretty credible. If it's 5 years, what do we think that number is at? What would you guess? Somewhere around 15, 20 a year? Do you think it's 100 million?
20. I think it's closer to 20. Yeah.
My guess is it's 90 plus. Yeah, so probably closer to 20.
Is there a certain number we have?
This is my depression whiskey. It's rabbit hole.
Is there a certain number that if he hits it, we get a higher comp pick for him leaving, or what?
I think we get the comp pick as no matter what since he signs.
Yeah, but is it like a different
change?
Is it a different pick based on how much money he signs for? Because I know it's like that in the NFL. I just don't know.
Yeah, I don't think so.
I don't think so. I think you just get a pick in that comp range, like in between the first and second round, no matter what.
If Pigtown's still listening to this, I don't know. He would be the guy that I'll go to for this question.
Yeah, I don't know if he is. I think he's at work. So.
Oh, all right.
Well, maybe
anyway,
he might be off today.
Yeah, you're right.
I know that popped up right there, but I was talking about the ACC dissolving basically their conference championship game. Do you think this is a trend? Do you think this is going to go through? Do we think conference championship games are absolutely worthless? I remember we were talking about college football right prior to me bringing that up.
Yeah, I think that you'll see a lot of changes in terms of the conferences in general over the next couple of years and the structure of the playoff and how it's voted on and stuff like that. But I don't see that the scenario you played out, which is having the second and third best teams in the conference play each other. I don't see that playing out because it just doesn't make sense to me.
So this is what the ACC commissioner. It's not me. It's what the ACC commissioner is proposing.
Yeah, and I see it. It's on the front page of ESPN. It's like is the first thing. It's one of the first things on here. Yeah.
Well.
Obviously, something's going to happen because college football is trending into a different era. But I don't know. What's your perspective as a West Virginia fan, Sean?
I mean, I do think conference championships now they're somewhat irrelevant to if you're a top 5 team and you're going to get in no matter what, it can only hurt you. But I like West Virginia has a legitimate chance to go to the college football playoff every year because you just have to win your conference. Now they probably won't, but everyone legitimately has a chance, which I think is awesome. I mean, it's so hard to keep track of conferences now because shit is changing every other year. But at the end of the day, I'd be surprised if they got rid of any conference championships because at the end of the day, it's a TV show. They're not going to get rid of content. Even though the ACC championship might be meaningless, they're still going to get a good number on it when they play it. It's generating a ton of money. So money is why all this happens. I mean, the whole reason I'm sure NCAA and college football will tell you they went to the playoff and expanded it because they wanted to be fair to everyone. But I'm sure they really just did it because it gives them more huge games for people to watch.
Follow the money.
Yeah. So
I mean,
I,
to be
I
honest,
like
with you,
it.
I like it better.
What was that?
Even if it made less money, I think it makes the sport better.
Oh, I think it does too. Yeah, I mean, I like it. It's not perfect. I think that they could tweak how they seed teams in it, but overall, like I think this setup is pretty good.
So,
For
it does.
example, if we were still in the 4 game, if we were still in the 4 team, do we think the 2 national championship teams make it into that 4 team playoff?
No,
Exactly.
No.
That's why I think it's working.
Well, I
Like
think I think this is sustainable. What the ACC is proposing is because why the fuck do you want to play a conference championship game? Either one, you might get players hurt, or two, you might lose and get knocked out of the playoff.
yeah, but
We lost
some of the
game.
teams need to win their conference to get in. Like Arizona State's not getting in if you don't win the Big 12.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I think that's like, yeah, I don't. It's weird. It doesn't. It kind of lessens the regular season for like the bigger teams like Ohio State, Georgia, who like don't necessarily need to go 11-1 because they're still going to get in. But I think it increases the regular season for like the lesser teams like Arizona State or SMU who like can get in by winning their conference, but weren't going to get in by
Brooks,
just.
go ahead, man.
I agree. I agree. I agree with Brian here because I think it can only hurt some of these teams to play in that game. Like, why not just take whoever the regular season winner is and say that's your champion, and then the rest of the picks are going to be the at-large bids, because inherently, like those at-large bids are still going to be that second place team, should be at least. I think. I don't think it should be like somebody who's not in the conference championship should get in that large bid. Like if they lose, they should at least be like one of the losers of the conference championship game, you would think. Right?
Yes, correct. And my argument here is also there should be no independent teams at that point. Because Notre Dame doesn't have to play a fucking conference championship.
I think conferences at this point are just too big to like declare a champion in the regular season. Like you don't play everyone, so maybe
that's tough for like the Big Ten.
They've got
like
16 teams in a division. Like you're only playing like 9 of them. But
that's tough.
Well, like in college basketball, I think they have a tournament now. But like for years, the Ivy League, whoever won it in regular season is going to the tournament. They didn't have a conference tournament, so like that's easier to do in basketball when you have a million games and you play everyone. But yeah, I mean it's ever evolving. Like I'm sure, they're gonna make tweaks to it. Conference play and in the playoff probably every year. But I like it so far.
Yeah, Laura, we just brought it up. Looks like Santander to the Blue Jays. It looks like it's gonna be a 5-year deal. We're still waiting to hear what the number is going to be on this one. We're kind of thinking probably somewhere around 20-ish, but we'll see. This seems like a desperation move for the Blue Jays.
By the way,
I thought they were in rebuild mode.
The Orioles opened the season in Toronto, by the way.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
So we'll see him in game 1.
Pigtown posted that Santander's career average in Rogers Center is 194.
Yeah, it's kind of weird, but
so
it's going to go up.
So it is 5 years. Rockets quote tweeted at least the Sorry Alexander guy. Apparently, there's an opt out after 2028. So after the 3rd season, there's an opt out, but we still don't know the numbers yet.
And it doesn't say player or team, right?
It says, hold on. Opt out after 2028, but club can void the 2028 opt out by picking up the 2030 team option. So the 5th year is an option, a team option. It looks like.
Gotcha.
Yeah. So it obviously
it's a 3-year or a 5-year deal. It's not a 4-year deal.
It's a 5-year deal, but it's a 3-year deal with an opt out for him. I would assume. I don't know we'll see. We'll know more obviously because with the news just broke, we don't have all the details yet.
Yeah.
And sometimes the details come out right away, and sometimes they take a couple days. It's, or a couple hours. Yeah, I mean, as far as the game tonight goes, though, I don't know if there's much we can preview that we haven't already. The 45.5 total is weird because Notre Dame has such a good defense, but their offense is not amazing. I'm not a huge fan of Riley Leonard. I actually think that they kind of got lucky when he got banged up and had to miss like a quarter of the game because the other quarterback came in and Penn State just wasn't ready for a guy who actually could throw the ball. Sorry, that was kind of a dig at Riley Leonard, but he went to Duke and he's a quarterback, so he sucks. But yeah, I mean, look, if both of these teams play their best, Ohio State's going to win, right? Like they're just more talented and they're better.
Yeah.
Right. I just don't.
Without a doubt.
I think this game has to be weird. I would assume because it's a championship game, it's going to be indoors, so we're not going to have to worry about weather. Where is it? Atlanta.
Yep.
It just seems like Atlanta is where they play all the big college games at this point because the SEC championship's there every year. But anyway,
play on Monday. That's pretty nice inside Atlanta Stadium.
True. I've heard the stadium's awesome.
Yeah, I've never been. I don't think I've ever been to Atlanta.
I have not.
Traffic
I've been there a couple times. I went to the old Georgia Dome, but I've heard the new one is awesome.
Yeah,
I haven't been to their football stadium. I've been to Turner. I went to Turner, but
O's play there in July, 4th of July.
Yeah, I was thinking about going to that or the All-Star games there this year. That's another thing I was kind of mulling over.
Oh, it is?
Yeah.
I think we're going to go to Chicago in August when they're at Wrigley.
Sweet, let me know.
Brooks can do that. That's only a couple-hour drive for Brooks. Next season, Ravens play at Green Bay. I was thinking about maybe we should talk about going there because I've never been there and I'd like to go.
Not talk about it. Let's just do it.
So does Washington. They play there too. I really want to go. Yeah, that'd be awesome.
That's awesome. They had Chick-fil-A in the football stadium. It's not open for games. What?
Yep. Yeah. You didn't know this?
No.
You didn't know this?
Well, they had a Chick-fil-A at the Caps Arena. They had a Chick-fil-A. I used to hit up all the time.
It's not open on Sunday football because
because they don't. Sunday. I mean, it'll be open. I would think it'd be open today, but
yeah, that was the whole thing when they opened that arena. They were like, and I think Chick-fil-A is one of like the major, obviously, funders for that stadium as well, and that's obviously where they're from. Or their headquarters is. So that was like the whole thing. They're like, yeah, they're putting a Chick-fil-A in there. They're not even open for football, but I mean, they do all the SEC conference championships always there. They do all kind of stuff there. So they're killing it still, I'm sure.
Anyone else have that's a shame, by the way, for the week?
I mean, with this whole podcast, yesterday was a shame.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know what to say other than the Ravens are superiorly talented to all the teams they lose to, and it sucks.
Yeah. How about this? How about this for our That's a Shame segment now? If anybody wants to sponsor the That's a Shame segment, you can get your logo on there.
I had a really bizarre reference for that, but I'm not going to use it. It's not going to hit home.
One thing I do want to talk about before we kind of go into our off the rails stuff here. 2025 Ravens free agents. Have you guys looked at any of that yet?
I have not.
Yes, Adam Schefter tweeted it, and I have looked at it.
I'll read them out now. Ronnie Stanley, Brandon Stevens, Patrick McCarry, Patrick Ricard, Nelson Aguilar, Malik Harrison, Ben Cleveland, Trey White, Brent Upton, Ardarius Washington, Josh Jones, Chris Board, and I know Mark Andrews is also in there.
Well, Brent Upton is a friend of mine, not a Ravens player.
No, Brent Urban. Sorry.
No,
sorry.
Bring that up.
I think that's why I said Brent Upton because I'm.
Is he related to Justin and BJ?
No, he's not.
Melvin?
Yeah, Melvin. Sorry, not BJ anymore. Bossman Jr.
I honestly think the biggest name you mentioned there, it's either
it's Ronnie Stanley. He's the left tackle and he's good.
He's soft. I think it's McCarry or Ricard.
You're crazy if you think Pat Ricard means more to this team than the starting left tackle. What are you talking about?
Well,
I don't want
Pat Ricard's going to be a Raven for life. I'm not even counting him. He's going to be on the team. So is Chris Board. He's just like ingrained to our special teams, and he actually was wearing a C on his jersey yesterday. Which,
really?
Which, by the way, we haven't talked about. I didn't notice it last week, but apparently last week we gave captainships out, which is something we haven't done since Ray Lewis was on the Ravens.
Yeah.
I
know.
saw that, and
Yeah.
I hate it because we were one of the teams, just like the Patriots didn't do it for forever.
Well, the team wanted to do it. The guys in the locker room were they. I guess they went and had their vote, and they wanted to give the guys that were voted C's.
Okay.
Which I thought was cool that the locker room came to him to do it. Let's see. Is this the updated one?
To Dusty's point, I understand. Like Ronnie Stanley is obviously left tackle. Left tackle is probably the second most important position or third most important position between quarterback and edge rusher. I just think the price point for Ronnie Stanley at his age is going to be way too high. And is that a risk you want to take to give 5 years to a guy who has had injury problems, simply lower body injury problems for a big man? I think that this might be time to go fishing in the draft.
I don't necessarily disagree with you at all there. I think the point I'm trying to make is not that we need Ronnie Stanley. It's that we need to figure out if we don't sign him, we need a replacement. So I think that's the biggest deal, just because we don't know who our starting left tackle is going to be. And Rosengarten was really good as a rookie, but it's a big move going from right to left tackle, especially for a guy who was like a second rounder. So I just think that is the most important thing that we need to shore up. We do get Marcus Williams off the books, which is nice because he has been terrible. He got literally benched in the middle of the season after we paid him like $70 million. But anyway, I know Sean, you gotta jump off here.
I gotta jump. I appreciate you guys having me.
Thank you so much. Congratulations on your Commanders winning. Thank you much. You're the man, dude. We love you.
I can speak for me. I'm definitely gonna be rooting for the Manders. He had to go.
Yeah, I know he's got to go. But did you see some of the pictures came out from his wedding?
Yeah.
Oh man, they're studly.
I need that quality hams pick, and I need it now.
Yeah, I know. I can't wait to get
it blown up in my house.
I lied about Mark. Mark Andrews is an unrestricted free agent in 2026.
Yeah, he's getting lambasted on Twitter by every single human right now. It just sucks. The guy's been a great Raven for a long time, but he had the worst quarter of his professional football career yesterday, and there's no looking past it.
Yeah, how many times have you smiled because of what Mark Andrews did? Yeah. Okay, look, it happened and it sucks, and there's no good way to do this, but he's made you smile a lot more. He's made you frown. It's
not like he's out there not trying, guys. Like, he's out there doing everything he can to help us win the game, and it didn't go his way yesterday. It's cold. It was rainy. The ball is slippery. It sucks because he's a professional football player and he should be able to handle those elements. But yesterday it just didn't go well, and it sucks. Speaking of fundraising, my friend at a house fire has a GoFundMe going. Yeah, absolutely. Post the link to that. Post the link to that GoFundMe, Joe. and we'll get that information up on our Twitter and Instagram so people.
Absolutely, yeah, Joe, definitely. We'll take care. I'll donate.
And obviously, with all the stuff going on in California right now, we've seen a lot of this lately. It's terrible. So anytime this kind of thing happens, it's tragic. I mean, a family,
especially, and people don't think about it. I had to deal a lot with this in the police department. You just don't think this time of year sucks too when this happens with the cold. Dealing with this in under freezing conditions is not fun. Not fun at all.
And people's finances might be a little bit shot also because of the holiday season where they spent money for, significant others or whatever, family. So it's tough. I mean, there's nothing.
It's tough anytime. It's tough anytime, but at least like during the summer, the weather conditions aren't hindering you like they are kind of now, especially if you got a kid. Like you got to find shelter right now more than any other time. So that sucks, man. Sorry about that. Joe.
Sorry about that, Joe.
Man, that sucks.
Yeah.
Okay. You guys want to get into the draft?
Sure.
Let's do it.
All right. Who won last week?
I really should start looking these up beforehand.
Why would we ever do that? It just makes way too much sense. We don't make sense on this podcast.
While Brooks is doing that, I asked this question yesterday. If you guys don't know the answer, totally, this is all off the cuff here. Who's doing the halftime or the singing the national anthem at the Super Bowl? Anyone know?
Google does, and I'll find out.
Yeah. I loved, and I'll just ask this question now. Then, while we're on this topic, it's random as hell. Is your favorite national anthem at a Super Bowl?
It's not even close. It's Chris Stapleton from a couple years ago.
Yeah, I agree with you. With Whitney Houston being a 1B.
Yeah, that's before my time, really, a little bit. The guy's name is John Batiste. He's a 5-time Grammy Award winner, and he's from New Orleans, I think. He plays in a band called Trombone Shorty.
Oh, Trombone Shorty. He chirp.
Is he?
Really?
I don't know. Scott Van Pelt puffs him up all the damn time, and he acts like he plays at Maryland from time to time, apparently.
Oh, that's cool. But yeah, anyway, that's the guy doing the national anthem, and then
That's
Kendrick
cool.
Lamar's doing the halftime thing. Yeah. Okay, so we're gonna do our snake draft. By the way, we do a snake draft every Monday show. This will be the last segment of our show on most Mondays. We do one every week. We put it out on Instagram, Twitter if you're new, and we let you guys vote on who you think has the best draft, and then that person gets to pick their slot for the next week's draft. This draft is going to be best cereals. Last week was it
MLB
minor league
leagues.
logos? Yeah, minor league logos.
And
That was a good one, by the way. That got a lot of play.
Yeah,
There's a lot of
Dusty,
conversation.
Dusty won that one, and then me, and then Brian. I beat Brian by 1.
Cool.
hell yeah. Okay, well, I don't have a clear-cut number one favorite cereal, so I don't want to go first. And I like the wraparound pick, so I'm going to go third. Brooks, you go first. Brian, you go second.
All right, got it.
And I will get a note going so we can keep track of this.
All right, let me pull up my list. Yeah, I mean, give me tried and true Cinnamon Toast Crunch.
Yeah, I mean that's
CT Crunch.
Even though that's probably not my favorite, I think that's probably historically one of the favorites. So I'm pandering a little bit.
All right. Brian, what do you got?
I'm gonna go Cookie Crisp. That was my favorite as a kid.
Wow. I like cookies and milk too.
I got nipples too, Greg. Can you milk me?
Sorry, I had to get the list going here. So, all
eating a
right, we got
cookie.
CT Crunch and we've got Cookie Crisp. I'm gonna go Frosted Flakes. I just think they're just such a powerhouse. And Tony the Tiger is just the best. So Frosted Flakes is going to be my number one. And then after that, my favorite as a kid, and I haven't eaten cereal in a really long time. My favorite as a kid was probably Reese's Puffs. So I'm just going to take that.
Damn
two.
it. That was my favorite.
It's not healthy even a little bit, but it's so good.
I'm not going against you here. And I'm not a cereal guy either. Brooks, are you a cereal guy?
What I'm taking into account now too is the milk after the cereal. How good that is. That's a big.
Yeah, you have to. That's a big play.
Okay,
that's why Cinnamon Toast Crunch was one of mine, and there's another one that I'm going to go with here soon.
There's a couple things that make you a serial killer. All right, and no pun intended.
It seems like pun was intended.
It was not actually. I thought about it right after saying it. If you don't have the toilet paper coming over the top, you're a serial killer. And if you put in the milk before the cereal, you're a serial killer.
That's like making ridiculous. A root beer float and putting the ice cream in second and just having the root beer go everywhere. Like, what are you doing? Just put the fucking ice cream in first, you
put the fucking cereal in the bowl and then pour
reject. Anyway,
yeah, back on topic.
Yes, back on topic. Brian, you had Cookie Crisp at your number one. What do you got here at number two?
Fruity Pebbles.
Fruity Pebbles is, I was going to mention, the best post cereal milk situation is Fruity Pebbles for me.
Yeah.
It's just, I don't know what it does, but it does good stuff. Brooks, you get 2 in a row here, and there's some powerhouses left on the board.
A lot of powerhouses.
Yeah, I gotta go Cocoa Pebbles.
Cocoa Pebbles, hey.
And Fruit Loops.
Yeah.
Damn.
Yeah, Toucan Sam, and you got 2 birds there. Isn't the Cocoa Pebbles like a some sort of beat?
Cuckoo for Cocoa? No, that's Cocoa Puff.
Yeah, Cocoa.
I don't know if there's a
Cocoa
difference.
Puff.
Yeah, is there a
Cocoa
difference?
Pebbles is Cocoa Pebbles is Flintstones. Cocoa Puffs is a bird. Anyway,
Hold on, let me look.
Brian,
Let me look.
it's your turn.
Cocoa Pebbles, yeah.
Get with you people. I'm stuck between two here. I feel like Dusty's gonna take one of mine. Shit. All right, look, I got to do it. I got to do it because I love the marshmallows and them, the Lucky Charms.
Yeah, Lucky Charms is a good one.
I'm surprised it took this long to come off.
Yeah. The cereal itself is pretty boring, but those marshmallows do something special.
I like how I'm drinking depression whiskey after the Ravens lost. We're talking about breakfast cereals. This is my breakfast right now.
Okay, I'm gonna go. So you took Fruit Loops and Lucky Charms as the last two picks. I'm gonna go Apple Jacks here. I think they've been on the board a little too long. It's a classic. And then I'm gonna take Honey Nut Cheerios next. I just love them. They're a classic. And I haven't had them in a while, but my nephew likes to eat them, and I was eating some of his recently when Brooks was out here. So yeah, Brian, you get another one here. What do you got?
And Frosted Mini Wheats.
Damn, that was going to be my number 5. I didn't think anybody was going to take it. Frosted Minis. That's a strong cereal. Brooks, you got 2 more to wrap it up here, man.
I don't really like all the ones I'm looking at are kind of off the board. Pull up a different list here. Give me Tricks.
Wow,
they're for
Tricks
kids.
are for kids.
That was my 5th. That was gonna be my 5th, man.
I forgot about Tricks.
And give me Rice Krispie treats. Rice Krispies, I guess I should say.
Rice Krispies. Rice Krispies are good. Yeah, you got to put some sugar in there.
Rice I guess some cinnamon maybe.
Yeah.
There's a heavy hitter we're all missing, guys.
Cinnamon.
You guys gotta do better than this.
It's your turn.
All right, Captain Crunch, baby.
Captain Crunch was probably going to be my move after Frosted Minis gotten taken. So you've screwed me twice here, Captain Crunch. The only thing about Captain Crunch is that the roof of my mouth will be fighting for its life afterwards because it is.
Yeah.
It's like eating a deep quality. It's real Italian. It's like you're bleeding. You're bleeding after eating your food.
Yeah. Oh, I just got reminded of a joke from live. Let's go. So, man, like everything's off the board now.
I know.
So it's I can speak freely because there's nobody behind me. So it's between Corn Pops, Honey Bunches of Oats, and I think it's got to be Honey Bunches of Oats.
Yeah, not Corn Pops.
I like Corn Pops, dude. We had those. You remember, Mom used to get those like the big things, like variety packs of cereal, like the small boxes. There was always Corn Pops in there. Yeah.
You get like the off-brand ones, stuff like that, because they were cheaper and they were bigger. But they were still Corn Pops.
No, our mom used to get like there's a variety with like the small boxes that come in the big box.
Oh, yeah. I got you.
It was Apple Jacks, Fruit Loops, Corn Pops, and Rice Krispies, I think. And then we always had like Frosted Flakes or something else.
It's like the bag of chips variety packs. I got you.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So
usually see them at like a hotel concierge breakfast or something. They'll be on there.
Yeah. All right. So what would you go? We got.
I went Honey Bunches of Oats. Yeah. What are the? You guys have any honorable mentions? Stuff that wasn't. I mean, I don't know.
I'm not a huge cereal person. I was telling you guys before the show, when my wife was pregnant, she was real into cereal, and we were trying to keep it as healthy as possible. So we were getting like the Magic Spoon protein cereal, which I actually ended up really liking a lot.
I've never heard of that. So you also eat Miracle Whip too?
What's that? No, it's actually pretty good. It's I was pleasantly surprised, and sugars. The special K. What was the one we always used to get? That's in strawberry and yogurt, or fruit and yogurt, or something like that.
Yeah, that one's pretty good.
Yeah.
All right. Before I get into a couple honorable mentions, Magic Spoon was so random. Did you guys ever have one of those spoons that you dipped into your cereal and it changed colors when it got wet?
I don't think so.
Must have been a Dundalk thing. Raisin Bran, Golden Grams.
Wheaties? Wheaties? Just Wheaties. For the box?
Yeah, just for the box.
I've never
man.
had Wheaties. I don't know that anybody's ever opened a box of Wheaties. They get them as collector's items.
Yeah.
Does anybody actually does?
Grape
That's
nuts.
all I got.
Yeah.
Grape nuts. Yeah. When you're 82 years old, you eat grape nuts.
I think that's just fiber. Yeah, I don't know. That's all I got for this podcast.
Did anybody take Cheerios? Did you take Cheerios, Dustin?
I took Honey Nut Cheerios. Yeah,
Okay.
I didn't take
Cheerios.
no classic Cheerios were taken, but Honey Nut is the best form of Cheerio.
Yeah, that's for sure. Yeah.
Nobody took Life.
Chex.
Remember Life cereal?
Yeah,
Chex.
Life.
Oh God, forgot about Life.
Wasn't there one called like Honey Smackers or something like that? That was
yeah. It was I think it was like the knockoff of like Honey Nut Cheer or Honeycomb or whatever.
Honeycomb.
Yeah. Golden Grahams, those are good. Those are like the graham cracker ones.
Yeah.
I like graham crackers. Anyway, that was our draft and that was our podcast today, guys.
Right.
We went for almost 2 hours today. We're all really sad about the Ravens losing. Please don't go on the internet and scream bloody murder about Mark Andrews because he's going to hear it from every person on this side of the earth. It sucks. He's been a great Raven for a long time. He had a really bad quarter yesterday.
He's going to be a Ring of Honor. He's going to be a Ring of Honor Raven.
Without doubt.
He's the most receiving touchdowns in Ravens history. Anyway, it just it stinks that the Ravens lost. It stinks that we feel like we were a better team 2 years in a row and we didn't come out on top. But look, it's football. The best team doesn't always win. And it happens in every sport. It's always tough to lose, especially when you think you're better. But Bills Chiefs is a game everyone's going to want to see. It's going to be
a great
awesome.
matchup.
It's a great matchup for the AFC. NFC, where I think a little bit more random stuff has happened. The wild card. Washington Commanders are going to be going to Philly. That's going to be fun to see how Saquon matches up against Jaden Daniels. So still a lot of fun stuff to go in the NFL season. It sucks that the Ravens aren't going to be a part of it, though.
Yeah, I mean,
it does. And back to what Brian said, it is just a game. It hurts, but you know what? Today's a new day. Baseball season's right around the corner. Let's go win. Let's go make the Orioles the 2025 World Series champions. Go do that.
And look, I mean,
Laura, we forgot.
Laura.
Alphabets.
Oh,
I like the.
We should that's a miss.
I
don't think I've ever had them. I've seen them.
Okay, I need you to go eat some and give a full book report when you come back.
How many pages? 500 words. Double spaced.
Double spaced. I do want to. I want to reiterate, and before I do our natural send off, I do have something more than the natural send off when we go over mental health stuff. But can't say enough about how much we appreciate the Ryan Ripken show and how much those guys are friends of ours. And thank you guys again for shouting us out, talking about the Chaucer, talking about Gary Williams stole my lawn furniture. We're a bunch of goons who have no idea what the hell we are doing, but we appreciate you guys very much. And we all share the same likes, and we kind of are getting started like Ryan Ripken's show is the same way that he did, the same way that they did. And we are trying our best to just be fun and have a good time and kind of deviate from all the crappy things that are going on around the planet.
Yeah, we like to say that this is more of a R-rated version of their show. Think of us as like we're hanging out at the bar, at happy hour, having a drink and talking sports. So
Kevin and Zach React, check those guys out. Ryan Ripken's show, those guys are awesome. Brad, all of them, they're freaking great.
By the way, did you guys see? Sorry, I know we're finishing up here, but I wanted to say this earlier and I forgot. So they're not having the Genesis Invitational at Riviera this year, which they normally do, Tigers tournament, because of the LA Fires. Yeah, so they're moving it, and guess where they're moving it? They're going to the waste. So the next week is the waste management. They're going to TPC a week early, and they're doing a 2 week, basically 2 weeks straight at TPC Scottsdale. I mean,
that's not a bad idea.
Looney Land.
Oh yeah,
it show for 2 weeks in Scottsdale, Arizona. But it's going to be awesome because it's Tigers tournament still. He's going to be there, and he hasn't been at that venue in a really long time. There's a famous hole-in-one that he hit in like '96 there. That's before all the grandstands were built on the whole 16. But it's been a long time since we've seen Tiger at DPC's Scottsdale, so it's going to be really cool to see.
Speaking of golf, just real fast with golf, you see the guy make a 13 on a par 5?
Oh my God! Did you see? It was so bad. It was so bad.
Was it Kevin Kisner?
No. It was some
PGA rookie.
Some guy I'd never heard of. But if you look at, like, you know how they have like the shot tracer, like the blue lines that tell you where the ball is going on the hole. It's like boom, 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 boom. It's something you got to watch.
It reminds me of golfing after a long night of drinking, and it's not pleasurable to watch.
He hits it back and forth over the green probably 6 times.
It's brutal.
But anyway, guys, that's our show today. Brian's going to send us off as he always does. But thank you for listening. Thank you for watching, subscribing, spreading the word. This is a sad day for Ravens fans, but it's a good day to go have a great day.
Yes. Sometimes you have to have a minor setback to have a major comeback. And I got a buddy. When I get off this podcast, I'm immediately going to make a phone call to a friend of mine who's going through a very tough time and reached out. So, as I always say, please take care of yourselves. I mean, just take care of yourselves. I need to heed my own advice from time to time, and I have been very recently in my life, and it's been amazing. And I have 2 friends who I'm staring at right now on this computer screen that love me, and I love them. So please talk to people, be around people, enjoy your time. When you wake up every day, it's at least a 5 on the scale.
Well said. Sorry for interrupting, but the deal for Santander is over $90 million, according to John Heyman. We don't have specific numbers, but it is at least $90 million. 5 years plus an option for a 6th. So I don't know what the exact number is, but we're learning this now. So I'm just seeing this. John Heyman just tweeted.
Well, that makes sense because we said 20-ish.
Yeah, I mean it makes total sense.
Yeah.
It's breaking news. I'm glad it broke during this, but I like when news breaks during this.
Yeah. Joe Racky says John Daly, greatest golfer ever. Yeah, you're not wrong about that. I saw.
Yeah, he was just in the hospital.
Yeah, I saw. I saw a video. He was in the hospital. He was getting surgery, and he said he would be back on the golf course. So I would imagine it's not something major.
Yeah.
I hope, at least for his sake. But I think he's had some health problems. I think he has problems with his knees specifically.
Gotcha.
That's why he's always riding around in a cart. But anyway,
and also just heads up, we got some new merch coming up pretty soon here with some new shirts, and some bandanas for some puppies, for dogs.
In our store, we do have a merch store.
We got a merch store. So, and Joe Racky, please send us that link for the GoFundMe for your friend.
Yeah.
Make sure you do that, Joe, and we'll put that on social media. But anyway, guys, happy Monday. I love y'all.
Love
it
you,
sucks
man.
the Ravens lost, but it's baseball season now, and we're all going to be pseudo Manders fans next weekend, I think.
I'm rooting for the Skins. I still call them Redskins, but I'm going to root for them. I'm going for them. Them and the Bills. I'm with them and the Bills. Then after that, it's a crapshoot.
Yeah, agree. I'm with you, Brian. Love you guys. Love you
guys.
Everybody that watches the show, appreciate the hell out of you.
Oh, and Brooksy, I'm almost done the book.
There you go.
You can't.
See you, boys.
See ya.